Okay, to continue on with this setup here, um, you'll see I've got motors still unplugged, and what I've done now is transmitters on, helicopters on. What I want to go through, the way I do it is I check for my servo movement, make sure I can get all my servos moving in the right direction. And the next thing I do is I check for my swash movement. And they're kind of complicated, kind of sometimes at first. Once you figure them out and understand it, it's really simple. I'll try to explain it the best I can. So, what you're going to want to do, these are kind of like some universal tips here. To set up your collective pitch helicopter there, put it in stunt mode. Okay, this is why it's important to have the motor unplugged. Okay, then what you want to do, put your throttle stick at mid stick. Okay, this is where you want to have, this is where we're going to be setting everything up. You're going to have that at mid stick, and then we're going to go through and make sure everything's level, go up through, work our way up through the head to the top to the blades there. So, okay, again, we got it in here. What I'm going to check for now is my servo direction. So, when I push forwards, I always start with forwards here. When I push forwards, I want the swash plate to go down. Now you can see this side is trying to push it up ever so slightly. But now the other servo's working fine, and this servo's working fine. So because only this one servo is acting weird, I would go into my servo reversing menu and change that. And that is down, go all the way down to setup list, reverse, and it's my aileron servo. Reverse that, and now just go back out because I know that's it. So now, you see when I push forwards, it pulls it down just like it should. And the back goes up. Now, when I go left, you'll notice that the swash plate goes to the right. It's not just one servo that's backwards, both servos are backwards. The same thing. Okay. Now, because it's two servos, you don't use your servo reversing. You go into the swash mix. This is the other part of my setup. And then also I want to show you the pitch, okay? Go up. See, the swash plate comes down. It should go up too. And alternately. Okay, so my pitch is backwards, and so is my left and right aileron, okay? So what I'm going to do, second part here, go back up to my adjust list, go down to my swash mix, okay? And you'll remember I had set these all the way back to 50. Well, not all the way back, but I changed them to 50 from 60 there. So, anyways, it gives you three options here: aileron, elevator, and pitch. Okay, so the elevator is fine. When I push forwards, that's fine. The elevator is fine, but the aileron, left and right, that's backwards. So what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna change that plus 50 to a negative 50. Whoops. Okay, and then the other thing I'm going to do is go down to my pitch. And I'm going to change my pitch from plus 50 to negative 50. Okay, now I got negative 50, plus 50, negative 50. Now, you'll see my pitch go up. See the swash plate move up, and it comes down. Just the way it should be. Now I had to reverse this because you'll note before when I'd go up and it'd come down, all three servos were backwards, not just one. All three of them were backwards. So if you only have one servo backwards, you use the servo reversing. If you have more than one servo backwards, you're going to use your swash mix. So again, that's sorted, and so is my left-right. So that is good to go. So that was the servo directions and swash movement. The next step I do is I go through, and this is when I'll set my sub trims. And when I say sub trims, you want to get all your servo horns straight either with the servo or 90 degrees to the servo. It should always be in a cross, whatever way. So depending on where your servos are mounted, try to line your servo horn according to your servo. When you first set up things up, you'll see how this one's just ever so slightly tilted forward. So now that I got all my other directions correct, now I set my servo, the sub trims, and to do that, what you're going to do is you're going to want to go to your sub trim menu. Okay, and this is my aileron servo. So go down to my aileron, and you just move it either way, and you'll see the servo horn move. So just put it, set it, get it as straight as you can. And for mine, the magical number seemed to be, I think it was 53. So, and again, you're going to do that with all three servos. Make sure they're all correct there. Again, you're doing this at mid-stick with idle up. Okay? So, once you got all your sub trims, your servo arms done, and your all your sub trims adjusted. If you don't have sub trims, you can, like if you have a, say, the belt CP, you can either use your trim tabs to try to get your servo horn straight, or you can just try to compensate with lengthening one of the rods to make the swash plate level. Because the next step is going through, and you need to make sure everything all the way through the head is level. You always start at the bottom. So again, the next step after you got your servo horn straight, go through, and for me, because my linkages are laid out like this, first step, make sure these linkages are the same length. Make sure this is parallel with this. I did that all the way around. Then I work to the swash plate. I got these linkages. So I work on all three linkages, go that up, get the swash plate level. And then for me, it was a matter of getting this level with my washout assembly. And then also up here I have these arms right here. Let's see. You see that? So that all has to be level for me. Now, depending on what, like the Belt CP and the Honeybee King, they have lots of little linkages that you got to kind of align, and they're on top. It's the same process. Just get everything level all the way up and down. That's the next step. And it could be a pain in the butt. There's, depending on what kind of helicopter you have more or less linkages. But again, you want to work bottom to top, get everything level. And after you do that, then we're going to go ahead and check the pitch.